After Denmark's devastating loss in the Second Schleswig War of 1864, John Jensen and his younger brother Peter flee their homeland, scarred by violence and hardship. Leaving behind war-torn Europe, they set sail across the Atlantic in search of a new beginning in the vast promise of America. For 7 grueling years, they toil under the unforgiving sun of the American frontier, digging into the land with calloused hands and hearts weighed down by homesickness. But no hardship stings John more than being separated from his wife, Marie, and their young son, Kristian, who stayed behind in Denmark. The loneliness has carved deep furrows into his soul, every passing year a cruel reminder of the family he left behind. Now, in the year 1871, John and Peter stand anxiously at a dusty frontier train station, hearts pounding with hope. The wait is finally over. Marie and Kristian have arrived at last. As the train rolls in, steam hissing and metal groaning, John's eyes search the crowd until they lock onto the 2 smiling faces that mean the world to him. Marie steps down gracefully, and Kristian bounds toward his father, wrapping him in a tight embrace. The reunion is tender and tearful, a long-delayed dream come true. John proudly introduces his beloved wife and son to Peter, and together they set off on the road home, hearts full and spirits high. But this moment of joy will be short-lived. Peter mentions he has business in town and parts ways for a while, leaving the family to continue their journey by stagecoach. Inside the coach, the air is tense. 2 new passengers, Paul Deleru and his rough partner, replace a quiet couple who'd been riding with John's family. Paul, recently released from prison, has the menacing eyes of someone who has nothing left to lose, and he makes that very clear. He's the brother of Henry Deleru, a feared gang leader with a trail of blood and fear behind him. Trouble has a face, and it's just entered the coach. At first, Paul plays it casual, joking with Marie, trying to spark a conversation. But his tone quickly shifts from playful to predatory. Marie, who doesn't speak English, struggles to understand. John, sensing danger, whispers to her in Danish to accept a drink Paul offers, hoping to diffuse the tension. She does, reluctantly, and tries to remain polite. But Paul isn't satisfied. He starts making crude comments, hinting at his own twisted past, mentioning a princess who stopped talking after her parents were slaughtered. When Paul begins touching Marie's dress, John intervenes firmly. That's when Paul's partner draws a gun, aiming it at John to keep him quiet. With his wife and child under threat, John is forced to think fast. Speaking in Danish again, he tells Marie to bite Paul. She does hard. In the chaos, John wrestles for the gun, and Kristian bravely tries to help by reaching for the second weapon. But Paul grabs the boy, pressing a knife to his neck and forcing John to step off the coach or watch his family die. Helpless, heart pounding, John is thrown from the moving vehicle, tumbling onto the dusty road as his wife and son disappear into the distance. He runs for miles until he finally finds Kristian, lifeless and tossed aside like trash. The sight shatters him. He clutches the boy's body, sobbing into the dirt. But grief quickly sharpens into rage. John follows the trail and finds the abandoned stagecoach. Retrieving the coachman's gun, he uses his soldiers' training to startle the horses and catch the gang off guard. With precise aim, he shoots one of the men dead and chases Paul down. Paul, begging for mercy, swears he didn't harm anyone. John doesn't believe a word. His silence is his judgment. Soon after, Peter arrives at the scene, having followed suspicious horse tracks. He finds John beside the bodies of Marie and Kristian, hollowed out by sorrow. The brothers embrace, their only comfort now the bond they share and the silent promise of vengeance. The story cuts to a town further west, where fear rides in with Henry Deleru and his gang of armed riders. Henry is a former Union colonel known for his ruthless campaigns against Native Americans, and now he rules the region with the same cold brutality. He confronts Mayor Nathan Keene, who doubles as the priest and undertaker, demanding answers about the death of 2 men. Unbeknownst to the mayor, one of them was Paul, Henry's brother. Henry issues an ultimatum: find the killer by noon, or he'll execute 2 innocent townspeople. When the mayor hesitates, Deleru raises the stakes, If no one's chosen, he'll kill 4. The first victim is a legless man. The second is Mrs. Borowski, the elderly gun shop owner. Her grandson Wojciech sobs as she's murdered in cold blood. Then Deleru kills a third innocent just to prove he means business. The town is paralyzed by fear. Sheriff Malik urges calm, but it's clear no one is safe. Deleru imposes new taxes for protection, and the townspeople have no choice but to comply. At Paul's funeral, his mute widow Meline, nicknamed the Princess, stands silently. Deleru offers her hollow condolences, but his gaze reveals something darker. He sees her as part of his property now. Meanwhile, John and Peter bury Marie and Crescent in solemn silence. But grief alone is not enough. They set off for Black Creek, guns loaded and revenge burning in their hearts. On their way, they attract attention as skilled shooters. Whispers begin that they may be the men responsible for Paul's death. When they reach town, someone tips off the sheriff, and Peter is arrested after resisting fiercely. Sheriff Malik later meets with John, offering a cruel solution. If John turns himself in, it might buy the town time to get federal help. John, exhausted and cornered, agrees. At dawn, he is handed over to Deleru's gang. They tie him to a post in front of Deleru's hideout, leaving him under the scorching sun to rot. Deleru arrives with Meline, who watches with wide, silent eyes as John accuses Deleru of murdering his family. Deleru silences him with a brutal punch. His plan is to let John die slowly and painfully. As vultures circle overhead, John weakens, sunburnt and parched. Just when he thinks he's alone, Mayor Keene shows up, not to help, but to rob him. He steals John's boots and the money hidden inside them, then greets Deleru with casual familiarity, revealing their secret alliance. Back in jail, Peter isn't done fighting. With Malik away, he provokes a deputy into losing his temper, then knocks him out and escapes. Meanwhile, back at the hideout, Deleru continues abusing Meline, forcing her into his bed and promising her power she never asked for. That night, rain falls, cooling the earth and soaking John to the bone. Then, salvation, Peter arrives and frees him. As they flee, 2 gang members block their path. Peter guns them down, but the chase is on. John, too weak to ride, falls from his horse. Peter hides him behind a boulder and draws the gang away, sacrificing himself. The next day, John awakes and stumbles to a puddle for water. Relief turns to horror as he sees Peter's lifeless body being dragged through the dirt by a gang member. Back at Deleru's compound, Meline has stolen the oil money and fled. She reaches the train station, hoping to escape. But Deleru finds her, slaps her across the face, and drags her away. She spits blood in his face, her only act of defiance. For now, she's spared, but her fate is uncertain. John, lost and desperate, wanders the barren land until he stumbles onto a farm owned by Mrs. Whistler, a tough older woman who fires warning shots as he approaches her well. But once she recognizes him, she offers food and water. Her well, like many others, is filled with black crude oil. She, too, has suffered under Deleru, her husband murdered for their land. That night, John visits Mayor Keene's home and forces him to return the stolen money. He learns the mayor has helped Deleru obtain land deeds across the region. John makes him lie in an open coffin, confronting him with his own cowardice. Keene finally confesses everything: the oil, the land grabs, and his betrayal. With vengeance in motion, John returns to Mrs. Whistler's shop, now run by young Wojciech. He gathers weapons and supplies and tells the boy to inform Sheriff Malik about the mayor's partnership with Deleru. Wojciech begs to join the fight. Though hesitant, John sees the resolve in the boy's eyes. The next day, John sets his plan into motion. He places the mayor's corpse in a coffin as a decoy and sends it to Deleru. As Deleru opens it, Wojciech starts a fire nearby to create a distraction. Hidden behind cover, the boy opens fire. He climbs onto a rooftop with flammable oil, but the creaking alerts one of the gang. The thug finds Meline bound inside. Wojciech shoots him, but the man kills the boy. His victory is short-lived. He lights a cigarette, unaware that oil-soaked floors turn the whole place into a bomb. John races through the fire and smoke to find Melline being dragged out. He shoots her captor in the leg, but as he steps into the open, Deleru appears and shoots John, knocking him down. Deleru mocks him, claiming he's surprised he lasted this long. But before he can kill John, Melline picks up a gun. She's done being silent. She fires the fatal shot. In the smoky aftermath, John and Melline face each other, weapons still raised. But neither pulls the trigger. They lower their guns. Sheriff Malik arrives with reinforcements, finally too late. He thanks John, but grows wary of Melline. John stands firm. She is under his protection. With no room to argue, Malik backs off. As the dust settles, John and Melline ride off into the wilderness. Two broken souls stitched together by violence and vengeance, heading toward a future neither of them asked for, but one they now share, silent, scarred, and unbowed.